Okay, so I've been living and working as a digital nomad here in Da Nang, Vietnam for a little over a month, and in today's video I'm going to talk about the pros and cons in case you're thinking about doing the same. But anyway, first things first, I thought I'd put a little disclaimer out there, and if you're wondering why I'm so sweaty, that is because it is currently, let me flip the camera around, it's currently 32 degrees, and being from the UK, my body clearly can't adjust to 32 degree heat, so I'm going to appear very sweaty in this video, and that's that, unfortunately. So if you're new to my channel and this is one of the first videos you're watching of mine, then you're probably wondering, what do I do for work to allow me to live as a digital nomad in Vietnam? And essentially what I do is called print on demand, and in a nutshell, you basically create a design, upload it onto a product, market it on Etsy or Shopify or a marketplace of your choice, and then when you make a sale, your print on demand supplier fulfills it on your behalf. So the main benefit of print on demand, you don't have to hold any stock, and you can basically run the business from wherever you want to in the world. But anyway, enough about me, let's get on to the main pros and cons of living and working in Da Nang, Vietnam. So for me, the first big pro has got to be the cost of living. And you're probably thinking, what a surprise, another Westerner in Southeast Asia saying how cheap it is to live in Southeast Asia. But, you know, that is a big pro of being here. What you spend versus what you get is ridiculous compared to places like England, for example, where I'm from. So in my first month of being here, I spent about £1,200, and that includes everything from accommodation, food, going out. Hello? How much? 20,000. 20,000? Yeah, can do. But sorry about that. I thought buying a coconut granted me access to sit on the chairs, but apparently not. Just had to pay about 70p to sit down. Is what it is. But yeah, anyway, like I say, £1,200 in my first month. That covered my accommodation. I'll show you my accommodation now. That cost me, I booked one hotel for 2 weeks. That was about £300. A little bit on the expensive side for Southeast Asia, Da Nang, Vietnam, but it did have a rooftop pool, and the dates did also clash with Reunification Day, which is a big holiday in Vietnam I wasn't aware of, but that's why the price was slightly higher for my hotel. But like I say, eating out 3 times a day, going out, having a couple of drinks on the night, £1,200, cannot complain. If I've been living like I've been living in the past month in England, I probably would have spent probably 5, 6, 7 grand, just because accommodation's so much, eating out is so much, drinking so much. But you know, 1,200 quid, cannot complain. And it's not just the accommodation and food that is ridiculously cheap in Vietnam. The transport is also ridiculously cheap as well. So as you can see here, I got a 46-minute taxi. It cost me 414,000, which is literally £12. There was 4 of us in that taxi, so £3 each for a 46-minute taxi ride. You know, back in England, that would easily be anywhere from £40 to £60 for a 46-minute ride. So yeah, crazy cheap on all fronts. And you know, I could have definitely done it cheaper if I was eating out at more local spots, staying at hostels instead of hotels, and not going out and drinking at beach bars now and again. But you've got to enjoy yourself at the end of the day, so I think £1,200 is perfect amount to spend in a month, really, when you're living in a nice place, enjoying yourself. But if you are on more of a budget, I think you can comfortably live in Da Nang for anywhere from £800 to £1,000 in a month. And to put it into perspective, you can get a local meal here for 30 to 60, 70,000 dong, which is anywhere from £1 to £2.50. But I've been eating a mix of local food and Western food, which has bumped how much I'm spending up a little bit. But like I say, it's good to have a mix, experience the local food while also getting those home comforts in. Yeah, that is one of the biggest pros for me, the low cost of living that Da Nang, Vietnam offers. And I think it's great. You can spend very little and still have a very good quality of life. And also, when you are working on new businesses, growing new businesses like I am, it is crucial that you have a low cost of living. Because it gives you that breathing room, it allows you to take risks, and if there's a period in time where your business isn't necessarily making a lot of money, it's a startup, then living in a country where the cost of living is low is so beneficial, because, for example, I'm starting a new business at the minute, and if I was living in the UK and that business isn't making very much money, it would be very stressful because the cost of living is so high. But being here, you know, it gives me the time to properly focus and properly work on the business and not have to worry about the cost of living. And the second benefit, now this one is subjective, depending if you like beaches or not, but I like beaches, I like the sea, so Da Nang having a beach is a massive benefit for me. And obviously Da Nang is a city, you can see here, very big buildings, which means the beach can get very busy. But because the beach is so big, you can always find a quiet spot where you won't necessarily be surrounded by a load of people. So yeah, Da Nang having a beach is a massive benefit for me, and I'm sure that's a huge benefit for many of you watching. And the third benefit of living and working in Da Nang is the penguin bins, because who doesn't want to throw their rubbish in a penguin shaped bin? Now, you probably guessed this one was coming, but obviously another huge benefit of living in Da Nang is the weather. Now, it has such a positive impact on your mood and your overall well-being. When you wake up, you know it's going to be sunny, it's going to be warm, there's not going to be much rain. I think I've had one rainy day in the 32 days I've been here now. I've not been cold once, apart from when the aircon in my room was a little bit too low, but just bump it up and then you're fine. But yeah, weather is another huge benefit of living in Da Nang. Another pro of Da Nang is the fact that it's got an airport, which makes it very easy if you want to have a week away, do a little day trip somewhere. So for me, I'm going to Hanoi on the 24th, and then I'm going to go and do the Haijiang Loop. So I'm leaving my stuff in Da Nang, having it as a little base, flying up to Hanoi, doing all that stuff, and then I'll come back here. Yeah, so that's just a great advantage. You know, accommodation's cheap, it's got an airport, so I can use Da Nang as a little base, do weekend trips, week-long trips, wherever I want, and then just come back here. And I've got this on my doorstep. And another huge pro of living in Da Nang is there's a very strong expat and digital nomad community here. You know, there's loads of Facebook groups full of expats you can join, meet people very easily. They host events in the digital nomad expat groups. And you know, being here for just 1 month, I've met so many people who are working on their own business, working on their own startup, and yeah, it's just really refreshing to be in an environment where people are working on their own thing, enjoying their life. And yeah, there's also a lot of co-working spaces. I went to one called Seaview Co-working. I think I took a little video while I was there. I'll put that on the screen now if I did take a video and I can find it. But yeah, just the ability to meet people who are working on their own business is really beneficial when you're also working on yours, because you can bounce ideas off one another. And then yeah, having access to co-working spaces, really beneficial, helps you just lock in, get in the zone, and yeah, that's it really. And I do think it can be difficult to meet people who are working on their own things, especially in places like England, where you're not necessarily encouraged to start your own business. Another huge benefit with Da Nang is just how fast the internet is. I'm currently sitting in a bar and I'm connected to their Wi-Fi, and I'm getting 400 plus megabytes per second speeds. You know, I never ever get internet that quick anywhere in England. So yeah, if you come into Da Nang to work and you need fast internet, it's a great option. So yeah, they're the main pros of living and working in Da Nang, Vietnam. I'm going to get on to the cons now and tell you what I don't necessarily like about Da Nang. Right, so first things first, the roads are chaotic. As you can see, I'm standing at a zebra crossing. Nobody is stopping. So to cross the road in Vietnam, you kind of just have to slowly but surely make your way across. and just keep your eyes peeled at all times. It's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest, but you do get used to it. It's not too bad this time of the day. It's only about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but when it gets to like rush hour 5, 6, the roads are chaotic, and yeah, it can be a bit of a daunting experience trying to cross them. As you can see, again, I'm at another zebra crossing and just nobody is stopping, so you kind of just have to walk through the traffic and make it safely to the other side. Now, I know I said earlier the weather was a pro, but the weather can also be a con if you don't really like the sun that much and you also sweat like I do. It doesn't bother me too much, even though I am literally dripping, but it's one of them. The sun can be nice, but it can also be quite intense. The sun here, it's the hottest, the UV levels are the highest between 10 and 12, so if you do come to Da Nang and you aren't that keen on getting blasted by UV, stay inside between 10 and 12 and come out about 3. Now, another con with Da Nang and a lot of Asia in general can be the air quality and pollution. You know, there's a lot of bikes basically everywhere. A lot of them are old bikes, so they can let off some pretty bad emissions. It's not too bad in the area where I am, but if you go over the other side of the river, the pollution, oh my God, I'm sweating so bad. The pollution on the other side of the river, away from the beach, can get really bad. If you come here, you will notice a lot of people do wear masks, so that tells you something if the locals are wearing masks and they're trying to protect themselves from the pollution. And the final con of living and working in Da Nang, Vietnam, it's not something I can really complain about, but it is a language barrier. Like I say, I'm in no position to complain about it because I'm a foreigner in Vietnam, so of course the local people here are going to speak the local language over English, but it can certainly get in the way of day-to-day things. It can make ordering a little bit difficult, navigating a little bit difficult, but overall it's not a massive problem, but it's just something I thought I'd throw in there, and it's something to definitely think about if you are coming to Vietnam. You know, a lot of the locals, they don't speak great English. I'm sure you're aware when you go abroad, a lot of people do tend to have a basic understanding of English, but from what I've found in Da Nang, a lot of people just speak the local language, and that's that. So yeah, those are my pros and cons of my first month living and working in Da Nang, Vietnam. Obviously, the pros completely outweigh the negatives, and I think I'll be staying here much, much longer than I originally planned to stay. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, let me know, and I can definitely make more travel, digital nomad related videos. It is something I want to incorporate into my content alongside the business side. And yeah, I will see you in next week's video.